Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. I am very excited about this one for two reasons. One, we're talking about portfolios, which is something that I have been requested to cover many times. So very excited about that. And we have our very special guest here with us today. Dayana is joining us, and we have had her on a webinar before. I know there's a lot of people here who come to our webinars every week, so you may remember. We had Dayana on it with us before, so we're very excited. And yes, I've seen her slides. She has so many amazing things to go over, so we're very excited today. But as usual, I can see people already know I'm going to ask. Let me know where you're joining from in the chat. I always love to see.
Yay, people from the UK. Thank you so much, guys. I know you've probably had such a long day at work. I have, but we're all here today. Oh my God, from Austria. Thank you so much.
I love it. I love just seeing where everyone is joining from. It is so cool.
We've got Spain here as well. This is amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's worldwide.
It's worldwide. This is amazing. Oh, thank you so much, guys, for being here today.
I love it. I love it.
Good.
Yes, keep letting us know where you're joining from because we love it.
Yeah.
Let us know what the weather is like because I also am so curious. Jesse, when I said worldwide, that's the first thing I thought of. I thought of Pitbull. I did.
Well, he's been touring anyway, so it's very relevant right now.
It is. You know what? I have seen him on my TikTok a little more than normal recently, so that must be why.
Yeah. I've seen also the bald heads, the bald head cats as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Before into the concert. I've seen that too.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I've seen that a lot as well, which is so funny. So good. See, now that I'm saying Pitbull out loud, I'm going to get even more videos on my Amazing. Okay, cool. Everyone keep sharing in the chat. We love to see it. I'm going to go over a few housekeeping slides and then we will dive right into it. So if you aren't sure who we are, maybe you found this webinar on LinkedIn or maybe someone sent it to you. We are HeyOrca. So we're a social media management tool for teams and agencies. So we can assist you with all of your scheduling needs. And one of my favorite things is that we do have unlimited users, which is very helpful. So your whole team can be on there. You don't have to pick and choose who gets to be on the platform. And also you can follow us on social at HeyOrca on everything. Big shout out to Jessica and Natalie who are doing so amazing on our social channels. So definitely go check out their content. And we'll do a quick round of intros. So my name is Alyssa and I'm a community strategist here at HeyOrca. So I work on our webinars, our newsletter, Facebook group, all that kind of stuff. And I'll pass it over to our special guest.
Oh my gosh, such a quick intro. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm Dayana and I'm the social media exec at the Folio Society, which is a UK independent book publisher. So we publish beautiful editions of your most loved books. And I will go a little bit more about myself in depth once we start the webinar, but I'll hand it back.
Yay, I think that is so cool. I'm on Book Talk a lot, so I feel like having a job in that industry is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. And as usual, we have a few giveaways going on. So the first one, very easy. All you have to do is head over to our LinkedIn and we have a poll going on. And the question is your social media manager portfolio up to date? So go on that poll, let us know. And then when you vote on the poll, you're automatically entered to win an Amazon gift card. And the second way you can win an Amazon gift card is let us know what you learned in this webinar today. Maybe there's a slide that really spoke to you or there's a tip you really liked. Let us know what it was on LinkedIn. You can tag us, tag Dayana as well, and we'll be randomly selecting someone who shares on LinkedIn. And for this one, you actually have until Tuesday because I know sometimes it can take a while to make a LinkedIn post. So you actually have until Tuesday at noon for this one. So very exciting. And I will say we have another giveaway. We have so many going on right now. And I know Dayana is going to talk about this a little bit more in her slides. We do have a benchmark report that is out right now. The link is up at the very top of the chat if you want to check it out. But if you check that report out, let us know what you learned in it on LinkedIn and tag us. You're also entered into another giveaway for another gift card up to $100 in value. So I think it's an Amazon gift card. So many ways to win. So we're very excited, and that's everything on my end. So I am now going to pass it to Dayana, and I'm going to pop her slides up here and get right into it.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for that beautiful introduction. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining me today. It is a topic that I've been raving about since last year when I got my role here at the Folio Society. And so I'm so excited to be able to talk to you guys about it. If you follow me already on LinkedIn, you will know that I have been speaking a lot about social media portfolios. I did a whole series about tips and advice on how to implement certain things to yours to be able to stand out and obviously help you if you are looking for new job roles, especially in this current climate that we are having right now with jobs in the UK. Not sure if it's the same in the US, but I know that it is quite hard to get into the industry anyways, even if you're already in it. So really excited to be here today. So just a little bit about the agenda, what we're going to go through today. So first, we're going to go through what are social media manager portfolios and the different types, because yes, there are different types. We'll also be going through what to include in a social media portfolio, depending on the different types with examples. One of my pet peeves is going to a webinar, a speaking event or a panel, whatever it is, talking, but there's no examples. I think there's so much limitation what you can take from it. So it's important that I included examples with that. Thirdly, we'll be going through a structure of an effective social media portfolio. So just a little bit of a timeline. Well, I wouldn't call it a timeline, but just little bullet points for you to remember on what to include in your portfolio that are essential and anything else that you might want to add. And of course, we will have a Q&A session, but please do feel free to ask any questions along the way. I love having like a one-to-one conversations. I hate having like I'm talking to a brick wall. So please do ask questions along the way. I'm already a little bit nervous as it is, so I would love to break it up a little bit with me talking and answering some questions. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining. So yes, who am I? I'm Dayana, and I've been in the social media world for over 3 years now. It will be 4 years in September, and honestly, where has time gone? Like I said before, I am the social media executive at the Folio Society, and I do the day-to-day running of the accounts. So I manage everything. I do the content, I edit it, I post it, I plan, I also do strategy, you name it. And I've also been dabbing my toes into influencer marketing alongside my manager, who's the PR manager. So I've been learning a lot about the influencer world in the last year or so, which has been amazing. I'm also very privileged to be part of the top 25 marketers to follow by Girls in Marketing, which is one of the biggest UK marketing communities. And when I got selected last year in December, it was such a privilege. And I knew that I had to make sure that this year would be the year that would put all of my efforts in LinkedIn and be able to live up to that name. And hopefully I have. And finally, I've added the TikTok icon because TikTok is my first love in social. So it's the reason why I'm here today. It's the reason why I'm even in the industry. So in my last year of university, I decided to build a TikTok account and vlog my travel. So I would do a lot of videos about travel tips, what to do, where to go, where to eat, you name it. And I had a few videos go viral. And since then, I learned to obviously edit videos, know what works, what doesn't work. And that eventually led for me to be where I am here today. So TikTok will always be my first love, although LinkedIn is what I dream, live, and breathe about. But I think it will always have a special place in my heart. And that is just a little bit about myself.
I love it. And I do want to say, I want to give you a shout out because you just reached 20,000 followers on your works TikTok, which is crazy, because I think everyone here can, relate that building a TikTok account takes so much effort. So a round of applause for you.
Thank you so much. It takes a lot of time. And, before I even got into my role at Folio, I did not read a single book apart from it being academic. And I think that's something that I at first felt a little bit ashamed about admitting. But I think that's the beauty of, when you work in social, you have to have the capability of learning about your audience and the community that's out there. So it was a very big challenge, but it all comes with experiment. But yes, let me know about you guys that are here. That are joining us. Share your name if you haven't done so already. Let me know where you're working, if you're freelancing, if you're joining the social media world, if you're just dipping your toes, let me know. Would love to hear from everyone that's here today. Oh my God, thank you so much. I did see a lot of people around the world, which is amazing. And this is my first webinar that I have from people around the world, which is really, really lovely.
Yay. And there's so many people sharing about themselves, which
oh my
is
God,
awesome.
Toys R Us, Canada. That's amazing.
Nice.
I've not seen Toys R Us since they left the UK like many years ago, but I used to love Toys R Us.
It's a fun store.
It's right. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Lots of freelancers in-house, universities. It's amazing. Keep it going, guys, in the chat, and hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions that you have, and hopefully be able to take something away with you today. But cool, let's get started before we run out of time. But before we do that, I just want to give a big shout out to the Community Benchmark Report. Like Alyssa said at the beginning, it's such an amazing report. I've had a chance to look into it. And what I love the most about it is that it's from, social media managers. They've surveyed over 267 social media managers to be able to get that real feel of what's going on in the industry by us in particular. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that only 18% of social media managers feel that they're being fairly paid. And I know that a lot of us here today will feel the same, myself included. I think that's something that's going on in the industry. I think despite whether you're in the UK, in the US, or anywhere in the world, I think there's a very, very big problem that we have right now in the industry. And so it ties really nicely in today with social media portfolios, because I think it's a space for you to really prove your value and your worth and the work that you've done to be able to justify any salary demands that you will put forward to for any roles that you're applying for, but also for any clients that you're working for as well, for you to be able to just not justify, but just show them why you're charging what you're charging. And as well, if you're going to in-house, why you're asking for the salary that you're asking. So make sure you check it out. And of course, there's also a giveaway going on right now if you do write about it and post it on LinkedIn, which is amazing as well. So thank you so much, guys, for an incredible report.
Thank you.
So cool, a little bit about myself and my story and why I'm so passionate about social media manager portfolio. So last year in January, I was freelancing for a year. So going back to last year, January, I decided to quit and go back into a 9-to-5. And due to loads of reasons, unfortunately, freelancing wasn't for me. And so I took that decision at the beginning of January, at the beginning of the year, to say goodbye to all my clients and head to the 9-to-5 world again. And so, of course, as you do, I got my CV, dusted it over and started to update it, included all the wins that I had whilst I was freelancing, and I started applying for roles. And when I was applying for roles, I'll be honest, I knew what to expect. I knew the market wasn't the best at the time, but I wasn't expecting it to be as bad as it was. And so I was literally applying, and weeks on end, I was getting little to no responses. I was getting rejection emails as well, but I didn't understand quite why. I think I was pretty much also applying for roles that were I was overqualified for, and I still wouldn't hit the mark either, until I went through TikTok, as you do, and I saw a video of someone talking about a marketing portfolio. And I was very interested because I thought, I've never come across a marketing portfolio. I thought that they were only for freelancers, but no, she was talking in particular for those working in-house and in brand. And she spoke a lot about it. And then I got into it. I went into a deep hole, as you do on TikTok, where once you see a video, that's it, you're in a certain you're in a certain talk. And so then I learned a lot about social media manager portfolio. So I thought, right, let's do one. Let me do one myself. And so I did one, attached the link to my CV, so that whenever a potential employer would be looking at it, they would be able to go through it directly from my CV or resume. And long story short, within 4 weeks of applying for new roles, I landed my role at the Folio Society, which is insane. And yes, I'm not going to say that it was solely due to the portfolio, but I think it really hit the nail in, when I was applying and giving that first impression to employers, because when I did started including my portfolio, my responses doubled, and I was getting interviews for like the first stages, second stages. I was getting recognized. And I think that's the beauty that social media manager portfolios do, is that they allow you to get recognized, to stand out from the crowd. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I love sharing what's worked for me so that I can help others along the way, because I know right now the market isn't the best, both for freelancers, but also for in-house as well.
Totally. Yeah, I feel like now with any social jobs, if you don't have a portfolio attached somewhere, it's almost like your resume won't even be seen, it feels like.
Exactly.
So it's so important to have.
Exactly. So yeah, I know we've got quite a few questions, but I will just go through this slide and then feel free to pick any that you think like cover it. And if not, don't worry, we'll go through them at the end as well.
Yeah.
But so what is a social media manager portfolio? And of course, in 2025, you have to go to ChatGPT, as you do. Like we can't lie around here. ChatGPT is everywhere, and where we use it at work as well. So I asked ChatGPT, tell me, what is a social media manager portfolio? And it said to me, a social media manager portfolio is a collection of your best work that shows your skills, experience, and results. And it highlights things like content you've created, campaigns you've worked for, and the impact you've had on social media. And for once, I feel like ChatGPT gave me a beautiful answer without giving any prompts or any further information. I think it gave me a very good answer, because that is exactly what a social media manager portfolio is. But of course, I have my own spin to it as well. So to me, it's, if you're using it to apply for in-house roles for a brand, I think it's your visual showcase of your best work. And in a CV, you will talk about your best, your best things that you've done in every single job role that you've had, but it lacks that visual element of it. It lacks that sort of, okay, I've said what I've done, but a portfolio will allow you to show it, but also prove it. Because, in a CV, you might say, oh, I've grown, this TikTok account to 20K. And, in your portfolio, you're then able to showcase that with screenshots, with stats, with content as to how you got there. And I think it really does give that visual element of the work that you've done. And, in social, not everything can be taken at first hand. So it highlights the strategy, the story, and the thinking behind your content. We are very quick to judge a book by its cover in the social media world. And I think there's such a big story to tell behind every account that is out there. And so I think portfolios really, really do help in that. And again, thirdly, it's a space for you to stand out and show what makes you unique. I think down to even the way you style your portfolio sets you apart from other people as well. So I think it's such an unique element for you to really stand out and be able to get the attention of potential employers.
Totally. And we have one question in the chat, I think, now, and then everyone is still introducing themselves, which I love. So keep doing that in the chat. Yes. And Michael says, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? I know a lot of fellow social media managers have that same problem. It makes finding our best work difficult. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I absolutely. I used to be a victim of that. I would just downgrade everything that I do, and sometimes I still do it today at work. And I feel like it's sort of tying into our value and what we bring to a business. I think if we don't talk about our best work, no one else is going to see that, and no one else is going to really understand what social does for businesses. And I think that's the problem. I think it all starts from us, and it's easier said than done, of course. But when I started working at Folio and I had that close communication with our marketing director, and she would sit down with me and say, hi, how's social doing? I couldn't just say, oh no, I think it's going great. I think it's, I think it's going good. I needed to be very real with her and show her all the good work that's been going on, like behind the work that myself and my manager do. And so it's very, very important. And I think it takes time. It really, really takes time. And I'm very lucky to have the team and the manager that I do that are always advocating for the work that I do and always pushing me like, this video did this. They're like, no, Dana, it didn't just do did. It did great. Like, always remember that. And I think you always need that push. I can't sit here and say, oh, it's all me. It's really, really the support system that you have. I hope that answered a little bit of the question. I know we all have that same problem. I will continue to have that same problem, but I think we need to really come out of that to be able to show the value that we do.
Totally. Great answer.
Cool. So what are the different types of portfolios that we have? So one of the things that I saw when I was searching for examples when I was building my own portfolio was that there's a lot of content out there, but for me, there's two different types. One of them is for those going to in-house, and the other is those going into freelance. And in-house, if you are applying for a 9-to-5 role, to me, the purpose of a social media portfolio is to complement your CV. It's really there to be a visual extension of your CV, and it's a space where you can bring your experience to life. Like I said before, in your CV, you'll have a few bullet points, very key things that you've done. But in your portfolio, I think you can really go into depth with that. You can really go deeper into the storytelling, showcasing content examples as well, your performance stats, your data insights, and the outcome that you've had that you can't really fully portray in your CV. And I think that's what allowed me to be able to get a few more first stage interviews, because potential employers, they would look at my CV, they'd be like, okay, yeah, this person sounds interesting, let's go into her portfolio. And they would go onto my portfolio and be able to see, okay, she's done this type of content, the stats are there to prove it. She's spoken a little bit about the campaign or brand or piece of content that she's talking, and so it really complements each other. Whereas if you are doing it on a freelance side of things, I think it really showcases a bigger picture. So it's, all the past work and the companies that you've worked for or brands that you've worked for, and obviously the work that you are proud of. And I think if you are freelancing, it will have a little bit more detail. So it would have a little bit like your qualifications, client testimonials, educations that you have. Whereas if you are applying for a role in-house, you've already sort of like covered that in your CV. So I wouldn't do that again in your portfolio, because they've already seen that, the potential employer has already looked at your qualifications. They know your education. They just want to see a little bit more about your work, which is what the purpose of a freelance portfolio, of a in-house portfolio is, in my opinion. So yeah, these are the two different types, just because the ones that I've been able to see or like give feedback on, I always say, let's take a bit of friction away, because, these potential employers have probably minutes, less than minutes, probably seconds looking at your CV and portfolio. You really need to make sure that you're really catching their attention immediately with your work.
Totally.
Cool. So what to include in a social media portfolio? So these are just a few essential slides for me that I think are non-negotiable that you always need to have. And number one is your About Me page. So here I would write a concise overview of your career so far, highlighting your key experience, skills and achievements relevant to the social media marketing, like anything that you've done in your career. And of course, I know that I've seen a little few comments here and there of people just starting in social media marketing. They've not really entered just yet. So if you are starting, give a quick backstory of your journey so far and what sparked your passion for social media marketing, or why you want to go into it. I think there's a very big stigma that if you don't have any experience, you can't build a portfolio. I think a portfolio is your oyster, especially if you have no experience, for you to really showcase why you want to get into the industry. And I think here is very, very important for you to highlight it. And of course, like I said, there has to be examples. So this is an example that I've done for myself as well. And this is actually how I structure my own portfolio too. So first of all, I include a little selfie, not a selfie, a headshot of myself on there. Normally it's like my LinkedIn one, or I alternate between a few that I have. And then of course, I've got the big paragraph over here, which talks about myself. And so, yeah, I make sure to highlight my biggest achievement to date. So I haven't updated my portfolio. That is a bit of a confession. I've not updated it for a while. So that has changed now. But when I did do my portfolio then, one of the achievements that I had was I had increased the Instagram for the Folio Society from 208k followers to 223k in 4 months. So that was a very big achievement for me, and so I included that in my about me, because that's my biggest thing, and I want people to know about that. And also, I also like to keep it brief. When these are people that are looking at so many CVs and portfolios, you really just want to make sure that you're brief and concise with the information that you're providing. And of course, there's a section that if you've not started in social media marketing just yet, focus on what excites you about the industry, talk about why you're interested in it, outline what's included in your portfolio. So if you've mocked up any projects that you have, or if you've created any content for brands, just make sure you highlight that so they know what to expect in your portfolio.
I love that in your about me section, how you put a great achievement that you've had in there, because sometimes I think when we're writing about ourselves, we write like the typical kind of, I work here and I like to do this, and this, but sometimes we forget to include those like big moments. So it's a good way to capture someone's attention.
Absolutely. And I always think that, before I even got into social media, I did a little bit of recruitment, and I actually used to look at CVs for a few months. And when I did do that, I remember, put yourself in those shoes. What is it that's actually catching your attention? And for me, it's like, you need to throw those sort of like big things that are like, oh, okay, well, this person's done that. Let me move forward and learn a little bit more about her.
Yeah.
So cool. This is the main element. So this is I would say, like the meat of your portfolio. And this is your case study pages. So these are the ones that make up everything on your portfolio. So case study pages showcase the visual, the strategy, the results of campaigns you've led, content you've created, social media channels you've managed, or mock-ups that you've crafted to demonstrate the skills that you have if you've not entered the industry just yet. And examples of that could be your previous work and mock-ups, and of course that is like specific social media campaigns, content pieces, social media performance summaries, including growth or engagement matrix. So one of the things that I did when I was entering back into the 9-to-5 worlds, I divided my case study pages into clients. So I will talk about particular things that I did for each client, and I will show that very soon in the example page. And I did a little bit of a checklist as to what I believe the case study pages should have. Again, we can go on and on and on about what we've done, but I think, again, it's very important that we're very concise but very effective with what we include. So number one, it's an overview. Give a quick summary of what you're showcasing alongside the key outcomes, and include numbers where you can. And that is very important in marketing, because everything's nice, but we need data. We need data to back up what we've done and the results that we've included. And I also like to include the skills or tools. So any skills that you've done, like strategy or content creation, and any tools that you've used as well. Because as you may see in job descriptions, a lot of brands, they're asking for particular softwares. And so if you already have that and it matches the job that you're applying for, it's basically a match. And of course, any analytics, add any screenshots of any analytics to back up your results. I think that's very, very powerful, because we can all say that we've done this, but if you've got those analytics from your softwares or from the direct platforms, it's amazing. It really backs you up. So here's an example of one of my case studies. So I actually worked with the Fourth Club, which is now I believe they're like a fitness brand here in the UK. So I managed to work with them on their TikTok, and this is basically what I included. So I included a video that I created for them on TikTok. I included some stats as well from the TikTok account, and I basically highlighted everything that happened in that campaign with them. And so I would include a very short summary of what you're showcasing, along with key outcomes, and of course backing it up with numbers where possible to show the real impact that you had. And of course, I did like my video. So because I created my portfolio on Canva, I was able to add a video, and of course, they're able to see that as well. And of course, like I said, using data and numbers really show potential employers that you know how to interpret data and apply insights effectively, which is a very big part of any role in marketing. If you're able to showcase, the results in a very analytical way, it's a win-win already for certain tasks for social media managers.
We do have a question. So we have a lot of questions in the chat.
Oh, I know you've got a lot of questions.
I've been saving
time.
I've been saving them, and we'll go over most of them at the end.
Yeah.
But I'll grab out one question right now. So Sarah asked, if you don't have permission to include visuals from a company you work for, but you're particularly proud of what you created, how do you go about featuring even a mock-up of that without like crossing boundaries?
I think, do you know what? It's a bit of a tricky one, and I've actually not been in that sort of space myself. I mean, maybe I did, but I didn't ask permission really and truly. And I think, it's about obviously asking why you can't. And of course, if that's stated in a contract or agreement, you can't really argue with that. And if not, then I would create my own one, which hasn't been posted on the account, I would say, because at least that still showcases like your skills that you have. And of course, if you can't showcase anything in particular, just write it in your portfolio. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just highlighting that unfortunately I can't present any content here, but you can also redirect them to the actual page if the content is still there, because it's still visible. I mean, that's what social is about. They're still going to see it. So I think always try work your way around it. Obviously, number one, try understand why, and try see if you can get permission to do so. And if you can't, and if it's live, just add the link to it, really. Like, if fair enough, it's not included in your portfolio, but it's there live. And yeah, that's what I would do. I've not been in those circumstances, but that's what I would do.
Nice, thank you.
Perfect. So this is now sort of like a page that I believe is becoming more and more relevant as we develop as marketers, especially social media managers, and we take on more side things that we do aside of our 9 to 5, and that is a personal projects page. And for me, this is a section in your portfolio where you can really showcase things that you do outside of your job. And for me, that's things like your public speaking engagements, any personal branding efforts that you do, any articles, any blog features, any personal content accounts that you have, any career awards, any brand partnerships that you have. I think nowadays we're very fortunate to take the skills that we do and do something of our own. I know Substack is becoming very, very popular. If you've got a Substack right now, talk about that. If you've got like a newsletter, talk about that. I think this is the beauty of being able to showcase, like, hey, yeah, I do this in my 9 to 5, or I do this with my clients, but I also do this on my own as a side project as well. And I think it still deserves a little bit of praise as well, and for other people to see. And this is an example of mine. Again, I've not updated it. I think a few things have happened since then. But yeah, this is mine. And I talk a little bit about what I've done, the public speaking engagements that I have, and also being part of the Girls in Marketing Top 25 Marketer to Follow. And here I mentioned just the projects and experiences that you've done outside of your main job or business. And of course, I still believe this applies both to full-time roles and those working in freelancing. I think we all do bits and bobs. We probably all, some of us do content, some of us do newsletters, some of us do we do so much. And I think, like I said, it still deserves to be spoken about. And on the side, I've got images to support what I'm talking about. So for example, if you have, if you grow your LinkedIn like myself, I will have like images from that, or speaking engagements that I do, I add them on there. Or if you're talking about you growing particular, accounts, like if you're a food blogger, if you talk about other things or newsletters, I would also add screenshots of that in there, just to give that sort of visual element on everything that you're talking about in terms of personal projects. Perfect. Any questions, or should we go?
I'm going to save some till the end, just because we have so many and they're all so good. So we'll save it to the end and we'll go through them all.
Okay, perfect. I'm nearly done anyways. I'm literally whizzing through it, but hoping that I gave as much information as possible. So here's the last bit, and this is what I was saying in terms of a structure for a social media manager portfolio. If you're in-house, if you're applying for a 9 to 5, and for me, it goes like this. You've got your title page, you've got your about me page, and you've got your case study pages. And of course, you can include as many as you want. Of course, I wouldn't make it overly long. Again, you want to be concise and brief. And if you are applying for a role that you really, really want, I would also try and align certain, examples or results to what they're looking for. If they work in the same industry, I would really, go on anything that you've done if you've worked in the same industry before, and this just makes up the main body of your portfolio. So this is as many as you want, but obviously be very, very mindful of that. And then I would do the personal projects page. Again, I forgot to mention in the other slide that this is very optional. If you haven't done anything like that before, don't worry. I feel like you will always have something that you will do. And when that time comes, please talk about it. Don't let that imposter syndrome get in the way, and make sure you talk about all the great stuff that you do. And then as a final page, I would add your contact details, like an email and a thank you for obviously going through your whole portfolio. And finally, the last slide, I think. So this is how I would structure a social media manager portfolio, but on a freelance basis. So again, I will do a title page, I will do about me page, and I will do a work overview page. So this one's a little bit different just because I feel like, when you're freelancing, you want to make sure, you've probably worked with a lot of good brands, like really good brands that you really want to showcase. So I like to call this as an overview. You want to add all the brands that you worked with, you want to showcase all the work that you've done. I also forgot to add any client testimonials as well. So in that work overview, you want to add any client testimonials. And of course, feel free to add any other pages if you've done any qualifications or anything like that, as this is probably the only thing that you'll probably be sending your client once, if they're asking about your services. And of course, the bread and butter of everything, your case study pages, a personal projects page, which is optional. And finally, a very important page, which is the next steps on how potential clients can book an introductory call with you. And sometimes we really miss that mark. They've gone through your whole portfolio, they've gotten that far because they're really interested in you, and you've not given them like information on how they can contact you or the steps forward. So really, really include that in that final page so that they're able to book in a call with you. And with that, that's that.
Okay, that was so good. I feel like we all learned so much. I can tell everyone is loving it in the chat. We have so many questions, so I'm going to try to get through as many as we can before we're up on time. But we have a question here that says, how would you change your portfolio to a social media manager when most of your background was larger scale video production? So came from high production video and now doing social. So how could you maybe make that switch in your portfolio?
I think, obviously, I know with social, we're turning, I wouldn't say away. I think that high production video is still very, very valuable. Obviously, not necessarily entirely on social, but I think in other areas. And I think you've got that very big skill of video content creation. You've got that eye for creativity. You've really got the eye of knowing what works visually, and how video is taken over the social media world. That's really important. So I would still talk about that, but I would swing it more on the creative side of things, and having that sort of eye of knowing what grabs attention. And I would the question's throwing me off a little bit, but I think there's so much potential in talking about what you've done just because of how important video is becoming. And so I wouldn't disregard it at all. I would still include it in as a case study page. And what I would talk about mainly is the content, like if you have stats maybe of where it's been shown, about maybe watch rate or like completion rate and stuff like that, because that is something that is becoming very, very important in social. So yeah, I will take a spin on it and just talk about more on the creative side of things about the videos that you've done, because it's very important in social right now. I hope that's answered the question.
No, yeah, that's
feel free
perfect.
to message me on LinkedIn and we can talk about it more as well.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Because with video, there's such an overlap with social as well. So there's so many stats and analytics and stuff like that you can include.
Indeed.
Yeah. So another question is, how do you best include content that was a collaboration? So as a social media manager, we often collaborate on content with colleagues. So how can you capture that in your portfolio, even if it was kind of a joint effort with other people?
So I guess the question is more so, how do you make that your own sort of thing, I guess?
Yeah.
And I think it can be a little bit difficult because obviously, again, with our imposter syndrome, even if we've not worked with other people, we still want to say we have this thing of
Yeah.
we, like sometimes though it's I. And so I completely get what you mean. If it's one of your best work, I would highlight the task and the area that you sort of like manage. And I feel like there will always be something that you've taken on your own. I think, if something's executed in a team, you've also had a part to play in that. And I would, still include it, but I would really highlight what you were in charge of, regardless of the results, regardless if the results is a collectively, I would really talk about what you've done, what skills you've brought to the task, any creative ideas that you've brought to the task, especially if they went through with it and stuff. I would just really highlight the role that you've done within that project, because it's not to waste. You just need to highlight what you've done.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you definitely don't want to leave it out. Like put it
Yeah,
in there and then just
absolutely.
highlight how you were involved in it.
Because I guess because a lot of us, yes, I know in the space right now, there's a lot of one-man bands, myself included, but there's also, people working in bigger teams. And obviously it might be hard to quantify the work that you do or be able to really single out what you do. But even then, I think it doesn't mean that you can't talk about it. You just have to be very vigilant of what you do and make sure that you always take note of what you've done and the results that it's led to within that project.
Totally. The next one we have is, so when it comes to a website or a PDF for a portfolio, what would you say is a better option?
Of course. So I think for me, if you are in-house and you're applying for roles, of course, you're going to be sending off your CV because that is the main thing. And sometimes in certain applications, you may not be able to add 2 documents. So what I do, I like to add it to my CV. So there will be like a little corner section where I would say portfolio link, and it will have the link to my portfolio, and my CV would be a PDF format, just because that is widely accepted in a lot of application tracking systems, especially if the company has one. If not, you can always, I guess there's always like emails and stuff which you can send to on LinkedIn and stuff. So it's a little bit easier, but I would always like to include it in that way. And obviously, if you have a link, it could be a Canva presentation or a website. I tend to see more website with people that are freelancing, and obviously they've got their own businesses, agencies, etc. And when it comes to, I guess, working in-house, you have that sort of presentation feel. But feel free, there's no right or wrong answer. Again, I think that is also part of making yourself unique and how you present yourself.
Totally agree. Another one here is, how would you include projects that you did if you freelanced for another agency, since those aren't technically your clients and may not have the ability to use those examples?
Again, I think it's quite sort of similar to the question that we had before. I think if you doubt whether you can use a certain examples or not, I would always just triple check that you can. I wouldn't think why not, because at the end of the day, you would be using something like that, especially if it's one of your best works and you include it in your CV. You still need to talk about what you've done, sort of thing. I would definitely get that checked. And even if they're not your clients, that's still your work. It's like, Folio isn't my business, but that's still my work. That's still the brand that I work for. And so you should still talk about it. And whenever in doubt, just double check and always see if there's any leeway around it.
Totally. Yeah. Something's public on social and everyone can already see it.
Exactly. That's what I'm always saying. But of course, if you doubt on any of the legal side of things or what you can or can't talk about, obviously I know maybe not on the content side of things, but maybe on analytics, like screenshots and stuff. If you are doubtful in that, always ask.
Totally. And like, speaking of analytics, when you want to show like certain analytics that you've done in the past, how have you gone about that? Like when you're, if you're in the moment, do you screenshot it or do you like go back and look at it? I think I saw a question somewhere about that. Like, how do you get those?
Yeah, I think for me, because I'm in the day-to-day running of accounts, I will always see when there's a moment and I'll say, I need to talk about this. I'm going to come back to this. So I will screenshot it. I must confess, my photo gallery probably has so many screenshots. It probably won't make sense to me today, and I will be very annoyed at myself. But I will always have like a sort of system that I've tried to implement as I go along, which is like a playbook. It's my playbook, and I put in all my results as I go along because I'm going to go back to them. I'm going to need them when I update my CV or portfolio, and I have it all in there, and I need to go back into that sort of habit of putting my stuff in there. But yeah, whenever there's a big moment, whenever there's a piece of content that you're very proud of, not viral, we don't use the word viral here, but
Yeah.
if there's a content that that's done a particular purpose for a
Yeah.
particular campaign, whether that be I don't know, the amount of saves, the amount of shares, the amount of comments, engagement, wherever that is, that you're going to need to come back to later on, take a screenshot of that. And if
Yeah.
you can, add it to a folder, add it to a Word document, a Notion, a Trello, wherever it is that you add all your stuff, and add a note. Just make sure you add a note, because you're going to come back, you're going to be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good point. Yeah, that's good advice. And I feel like it's something that we often forget to do when
Yeah,
you're in the moment. But yeah, just kind of banking them somewhere, and then they're there for you.
they're there.
Awesome. Well, I know we are now up on time, and thank you so much, everyone. The chat was so busy for this webinar, which is amazing. I love seeing all of you sharing about yourselves and your questions and helping each other. I noticed a lot of you were giving
Yeah,
each other advice, which is awesome
I
to
love
see
that.
in the
I love
chat.
that.
It's so nice. So thank you so much. And we will drop your LinkedIn
Yes.
profile in the chat again. So if you want to connect, please do. The HeyOrca team, who is all here today, we're huge fans of Dayana. So definitely follow her on LinkedIn. We've been following her content for so long. So definitely follow her. She has amazing content.
No, thank you so much. I'm just seeing all the comments here. No, thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys were able to take something with you. Please do feel free to message me on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to support you if you had any questions that we didn't get to answer. And yeah, I see Emma. She's saying that I do have a social media portfolio template, which I do. And if you do need it, please feel free to reach out to me. And I will be more than happy to share it with you guys. It's basically the same one that I have, and that's worked for me. And yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for taking time out of your busy days and being here today.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll have to collaborate again soon.
Yes.
And everyone who's here, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend coming up. Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.